Good afternoon, Kajol. Please sit down.
Yes.
Kajol Singh. Kajol, you studied in Miranda House,
Yes, sir.
Delhi, and 4 times you already appeared for these.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right? Why didn't you make it so far? Not prepared properly?
Not exactly, sir, but every time I had various issues that I tried to overcome in the next attempt. So, and also I started pursuing my post graduation along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this time it worked out.
So this time the level of preparation is much better?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Did you qualify any time in the past?
So not the prelims.
No. You live in Delhi and you have studied geography.
Yes, sir.
Kajol, tell us, if you want to travel from Delhi to say London by road, okay?
Yes, sir.
How will you go about it? In a car you are going,
Yes, sir.
you want to reach London, you take off from Delhi, which route will you take? Obviously shortest route possible, by road.
So we'll start moving in the western direction. So we pass through Pakistan, then Iran, then Iraq, then we move over to Turkey, and then we'll have, I mean, it's not exactly the shortest route if we go that ways, but otherwise we'll move over to the Eastern European nations. There we come across Germany, France, and then to go to London we'll have to take a waterways there.
You don't cross Greece?
So we will, yes, sir.
And then how do you go to London?
So for London we will have to take a waterway, like if we're going by a car then it will have to be shipped.
To be how?
So on a boat, like
On a
on a
boat.
ship, yes, sir.
On a ferry.
Yes, sir.
Right. There is some other connection also between London and France? Without going by the water or air?
So I'm not aware of that.
You heard of the English Channel?
Yes, sir.
So that is underground, under the tunnel, under the channel. It's a rail connectivity, not road, but there is a underground tunnel. Tell me of some of the states in the Persian Gulf.
So the nations that are present there, the Persian Gulf. Persian Gulf we have Iran,
Oman, UAE, yeah.
Yemen.
Yemen. In the Gulf, no, Yemen is not the Gulf. Okay. It is Qatar, Bahrain,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? And then go around the Gulf, Iraq, on that
Yes.
side. There's a country called Qatar there.
Yes,
Qatar
sir.
was in the news recently. What happened there? Football
So
World
yes,
Cup
sir,
was
the
held
FIFA
there.
World Cup was organized there. Yes, sir.
Would you be able to describe Qatar for us? Anything you know about it?
So specifically with regard to the World Cup that happened, there was considerable news about the stadiums that were built. Like it took a long time, and then also there was a lot of Indian workers, not only Indian but from the South Asia itself, that went there to work as laborers for the construction of the sites. And then it's mostly a desert area, so the timings had to be scheduled for the FIFA World Cup to be organized in the evenings. And that's it.
What is the population?
Population for Qatar. So I'm not aware of that.
Per capita income? How rich they are?
I'm not aware.
They are the richest country in the world. And they were accused of bribing the FIFA for getting the World Cup.
Yes, sir. That was there.
That you heard?
Yes, sir.
You belong to UP.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you go back to UP in a position of power. You get elected, you get appointed. And UP, the law and order is a major issue.
Yes, sir.
How is the state of law and order in UP at the moment?
At the moment, I would say, according to the NCRB reports also, the number of cases that are there have reduced a lot. Specifically the rights cases or the past atrocities cases, they have reduced a lot when compared to the previous years. However, there are still reports of skirmishes that are there. Sometimes when, like in the news, we can see there's still caste-based violence is still prevalent, though it might not be reported. However, it's still prevalent.
How have they managed to reduce the crimes?
So there have been greater policing reforms. Also, it has been made more accessible. As in, we have more on the traffic ways also. There are more stations that are there. The helpline is also available 24/7. And
Newspaper reports that there are lots of criminals have been killed in the last 3-4 years. There are encounters
Yes,
are
sir,
taking
there have
place
been
every now and
encounters.
then, and criminals are being killed.
yes, sir.
They say it is easier to kill the criminals than to catch them and convict them. If you were a collector or a SP in one of the districts in UP, and you are asked to take care of the criminals, what will be your response?
Sir, I would say that encounter killing is not the right step, because there has to be a due procedure of law that has to be followed. And the proceedings can be there, but we can always go for containment with the custody of the
And the
criminals.
CM tells you, look, young girl, don't tell us how to do our job. You've been told to do it, you do it. What do you say?
Sir, if it's a direct order and I do not have the ability to reject it, I would actually like to request it to be in written. Like if it's a written order, then it would be. Yes,
If
sir.
he gives a written order, then
Sir, I would still say that it is not the right course of action, but if it's an order, then I will have to follow it.
nobody can give you illegal written orders. Even if your superior officer gives in writing, do it, you're not supposed to do it. Nothing illegal, nothing unethical should ever be tried, whosoever gives the order.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. You lived in Delhi for a long time. Women are not safe in Delhi, it is reported. What is your impression?
Sir, on a relative basis, I would say that Delhi is relatively more safer when I compare it with the other places in UP itself. Because here the connectivity is more, there are more cameras on road itself. There are also a lot of like the moving vehicles that we have for women specifically, then the police assistant vehicles. But it is still not exactly very safe. Yes, sir. I would agree on that. However, on a relative terms, it
If
is
you
still
were
better.
appointed the police commissioner of Delhi, what additional steps will you take to ensure that the women feel secure while walking to workplace or to schools and colleges?
Sir, considering the recent cases that also we had, there are a lot of issues with the street lighting itself. So there needs to be regular checking of the street lights, so that there is always like eyes on the road is a concept that can be applied here, so that the people actually feel safe, and also the community is better involved, so that in case anything as such happens, there are always regular reportings of these cases, and then immediate action should be taken so that the teams can be dispatched.
You think the police presence on the road is adequate?
So when it comes to making a person feel secure, it's not just the police that should be involved. It should also be the community that is also living there or residing in the place itself.
How do you make the community join in this war? And why we have not been able to do it?
So there are a lot of places which are isolated pockets, I would say, that people don't really, they're not that much populated. So people anyways don't refrain from going there, but when we consider the central marketplaces that we have, where people are there in a greater number, there people feel safe. So what we can actually do in those places is that we can use technology that is there. So in terms of cameras that are there, drones can also be employed in these cases. And otherwise, for the involvement of the community as such, there should be a greater change in the mindset, because it is their living space only. So there should be community organizations, there should be workshops or talks.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Kajol. Then tell me, what Lucknow is famous for?
So Lucknow is famous for the chicken curry work that is done there, and then also for the food. Then
What kind of food?
so it's the Awadh food. So it's yes, sir.
What is tunde kebab?
So tunde kebab is a delicacy that is served there. It has been there since past few centuries, I would say.
Why it is called tunde?
So as far as I know, it was the name of the shop that was serving it.
Okay. Now tell me, what is demographic dividend?
So demographic dividend is that situation in a country's demography when the working population is greater than those that are dependent on them. So the number of dependents is less than the ones on which that they depend.
No, when this is there, then what is the dividend? What is demographic dividend? Can you repeat it?
So it is when the people in the working age, that is 15 to 59 or
So
60.
those people are called demographic
No, sir, it
dividend?
is that situation that is prevalent.
The
because
situation is called.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is this MUAY, Thai?
Yes, sir. So it's Muay Thai. It's a martial arts that originated from Thailand.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So do you take part in that?
Yes, sir. I was trained in it during my school years, and then I've continued to still use it as a regular workout that I use.
What is it actually? Is it like a karate or it is taekwondo type or what type?
So if I were to associate with the closest other martial art, it would be kickboxing. However, there is a difference here, because in kickboxing we use 4 parts that are 2 palms and 2 legs. But in Muay Thai we're also allowed to use our knees and elbows. So it eventually becomes an art of 8 limbs.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Elbow very dangerous if you can use elbow.
Yes, so it's a close combat sport, so it's there.
Yeah. What is your opinion about the UP bifurcation or trifurcation or whatever it is?
So when considering from a development point of view, and also from administrative ease itself, and also taking in the population that is prevalent, I would say that bifurcation is a good idea. However, it will have to be seen from a lot other perspectives also, because in UP the communities are more divided on social lines also, so we need to take in those intricacies also.
So how many parts you want to divide?
So specifically right now all I can think about is that the Bundelkhand area needs more emphasis. So for now I would just say that 2. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Kajol,
Yes, sir.
Geography is your optional subject.
Yes, sir.
Now, which are the Nordic countries?
So Denmark, Sweden, Finland. Then if we move further down, we have Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia.
No, I think you need to check on that. I will tell you, during
Yes,
the
sir.
course of feedback, I will tell you exactly. Scandinavian countries? It's okay.
Yes.
Don't know.
Yes,
Doesn't
yes,
matter.
I am not
Where,
able to
where is
recall
Dead
right now.
Sea? Jordan. It is in Jordan. Okay, no,
Okay,
no
sir.
problem.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by continental shelf?
So continental shelf is that part of the continental mass itself, which is usually covered by the water. So as we move further down, we have continental shelf. Then it breaks into a continental slope. So continental shelf is that portion wherein the sediments that are eroded from the continent also come and settle down, and it is also a reservoir of a lot of minerals and plants also.
When we say geopolitics, what do we
Yes.
mean by that?
So geopolitics can be understood as the strategic position that a country holds and how it affects the politics that is happening around it. For instance, if we see the relations between India and Afghanistan, then Pakistan plays a very important geopolitical role because it is a country that is sandwiched between the two other nations. So it is always to be considered when our relations are considered with Afghanistan.
Okay. Now we'll briefly bring you to the international domain. Although I think you have put Indian Foreign Service as your number 5 in
Yes,
terms
sir.
of preference. Okay. Now you know Pakistan is in a precarious state now.
Yes, sir.
You know, will it have any implication for India, our immediate neighbor? You know?
Yes, sir. So immediately, if we see from a humanitarian point of view, if there are terrorism that is happening, then there will always be people moving around. So our borders can be affected because of that, because there can be infiltration, higher number of infiltration, and also if more terrorist activities are happening in northern Pakistan, if they move further down, then it also comes closer to our borders. So wherein we're already dealing with other activities, there will be further more implications there. Then in general also a volatile state in our neighborhood is a dangerous situation for India. So we need to keep a closer watch on it as to how the situation is developing.
Okay. We have a military government in Myanmar,
Yes.
military government, and we have very close links with Aung San Suu Kyi.
Yes,
She
sir.
studied in India, you know
Yes,
that.
sir.
But in spite of all that, we are not pressing the military government there to talk to the opposition. Of course, the military leader there has announced that there will be elections,
Yes, sir.
but we don't know whether the elections should be free or fair, free and fair, you know. So, do you think, as the what I would say the largest democracy in the world, should we not put pressure on Myanmar? And why aren't you doing it if you are not doing it?
Not putting pressure in terms of there can always be dialogues regarding this, because we are supposed to recognize the other nation as a sovereign state also. So they are entitled to take their own decisions as to what is happening there. So perhaps that is one of the reasons why we haven't been pressing too much on this point, because we recognize Myanmar as a sovereign state.
No, ASEAN is doing it already. ASEAN
Yes.
countries are kind of putting pressure on them. US is doing it.
Yes, sir.
They do recognize. It's not that they don't recognize the existence of Myanmar. ASEAN does
Yes.
recognize, but they do, tell them, please do this, please talk to the opposition, release prisoners and things like that, political prisoners. Okay, my last question to you, Kajol. We have been trying for quite some years now to become a permanent member in the Security Council.
Yes, sir.
Where do we stand now, you think?
Sir, we have over the years collected considerable backing that is also supporting India's position in the permanent security as a permanent member in the Security Council, and then also considering the role that India is trying to play in the current Russia-Ukraine conflict. If we are able to pull it off in a manner so that there is a ceasefire, or we are able to bring in a situation where the war can be stopped, or there is mediation, then perhaps it would be another feather in the cap for India there, and it will embolden our situation there. But otherwise also we have certain oppositions in Security Council which will have to be countered considerably if a position is to be taken, for instance China's presence there. So it has to be a balance. However, considering now there, and also India is representing the voice of the global south also. So I would say that we're in a good position. However, there is a lot to be done yet.
Kajol, there is a school of thought
Yes, sir.
that we probably we can forego. I mean, we may not have the right to what we call the veto power, for example. We may not have the veto power and become a member. Supposing we say, fine, we don't want the veto power, but still we want to be in the security council as a permanent member. Do you think it will be a good move, good start from our point of view?
So if we considering without the veto part, then India doesn't get to be a part of the Security Council, otherwise as a non-permanent member also. So there also when we're heading the Security Council, we are able to bring in certain aspects wherein we want the global attention to be focused. So we're already doing that at a point of time. But otherwise also considering the UN reforms that we require, veto power needs to be relooked upon, because a lot of important decisions can be brought to a standstill because of vested interest here.
Thank you, Kajol.
Positions of distinction leadership held in school, college, you referred to the Half the Sky movement.
Yes.
So can you explain that?
Yes, sir. Half the Sky movement is actually based on a book, and then eventually it developed as a platform for women to turn their oppression into empowerment. And then we used media for it, as in we used blogs, movies, digital media, and then more artistic expressions in form of articles that are written or poems. So events are organized around these things, wherein these activities are done, and then spreading awareness through these.
Who wrote that book?
So there were two people involved. I'm unable to recall the name at the moment.
Okay. You see, you are from Uttar Pradesh.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you throw some light on the recent controversy on this, Ramcharit Manas?
So I'm sorry, but I'm not aware of this.
You are not aware at all? Okay.
So,
Okay, fine. So, you see, India is now being projected as the mother of democracy.
yes.
Okay, so how would you justify, by referring to, what kind of attributes of India's past or India's, other aspects which would certainly fortify our claim that we are a mother of democracy?
During the Mahajanpadas that we had, there were certain nations which were not exactly working on the monarchical, there were certain states that were not working on a monarchical basis. And there were groups that were heading, and then those groups used to operate together. So we had those states that were already there, and then as we move further forward in history, then we have instances where people itself were involved in elections, like in southern states of Tamil Nadu also. There were certain states that were involved where elections used to be held by the community itself. So those are the historical basis that we can actually use to say it's the mother of democracy. Otherwise also democracy is the power with the people itself. So even over the years, throughout our freedom struggle also, we have seen that people have been greatly involved. So that could be used also.
But then Ambedkar, in his writings, he says that India could never claim itself to be a mother of democracy because of the caste hierarchy.
Yes, sir.
So how do you respond to that?
I think when he said that, it was also because a lot of India resided in the rural areas wherein these caste hierarchies were very prevalent.
Why in urban areas?
So in urban areas, I would not say that it's not prevalent, but there is a greater class divide also that is there. Ambedkar himself said that people should move from villages to cities also, so that they have greater anonymity here, and then they can overcome the barriers that they face in villages. and then they're able to better improve their living standards or have greater social mobility in cities. Yes, sir. So now as we're moving more towards urbanization, I would say that it is possible. However, the constitution also says that we should not have discrimination on the basis of caste itself. So these things should be better implemented, I would say, for us to be able to overcome.
Okay. Now there is, you must have been reading about the debate on basic structure of the constitution.
Yes, sir.
So, many important people are questioning it, many others are defending it. So, what is your take on this? Sorry.
So when we say that our constitution is a living document, it is very necessary that it changes with time itself. So because then the ethos of the society that is prevalent, it should be considered. But the basic structure are some principles which cannot be done away with, considering that we are all humans and we all share equality. We should all be seen similarly. So considering those, the basic structure is very relevant and it needs to be there. It is also helpful in keeping a check on the various organs of government, the legislative and the executive organs as well. So the basic structure is something which should be there, and if as we move forward, it will evolve itself also, because the constitution itself is a living document.
Okay, during this debate on basic structure, one great jurist, the name of a great jurist, who argued in the Supreme Court, in the Kesavananda Bharati case, that his name actually figured in a prominent manner. He is no more. Can you recall his name? People say it's because of his arguments in the Supreme Court that the court was persuaded to develop the doctrine of basic structure. Can you recall his name?
No, sir.
Nani Palkiwala. Okay, so now there is a lot of emphasis is being given to the duties. The Rajpath has been named as Kartavya Path.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you think there is one-sided emphasis on duty, by not emphasizing on rights? Is there some kind of imbalance you feel between the rights and duties?
So I would not say it to be an imbalance, but fundamental rights are, we have like backing for it. We can go to the court for it. However, fundamental duties do not have that backing unless acts are provided to actually do it. So also, since we're moving towards a more inclusive and equitable society, the duties of the citizens should be highlighted. So in that ways, I would say that it is not an imbalance. However, what the attention had not been given in the prior stages is now being brought forward.
Okay, so don't you think there is a balance should be established between the rights and duties?
So there always has to be a balance between the rights and duties. That's why our rights are also qualified. We do not have them as in whatever rights we have, we do not have them as to whatever we can do. They're always qualified because the other members of the society are also there, and towards them we have certain duties.
Okay, are you familiar with the writings of Dr. Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar?
So I would not say entirely, because I just studied them during my course of time for some aspects of geography.
Geography?
Yes.
Okay. No, I think the only, personality, the prominent personality in our history who said castes are anti-national. Can you explain that?
Castes are anti-national. Sir, from my understanding, I would interpret it in this way that people have caste allegiances because it forms a closed cohort or community, and people tend to stay limited in that when they don't get the desired social mobility. So it promotes a certain allegiance that is there, and if over time it gets over the allegiance that you have for a nation itself, then it might lead to divisions. So the nationalism that you have might be subdued because of the caste loyalties that you have. I would interpret it in that manner.
Okay, thank you.